It's common saying in Ghana that we are having challenges with our development. Indeed, when we compare ourselves to other countries, they say that we are far behind. The object of government is to ensure we are developed. So there are different facets of development, but there's a physical infrastructure development which this government, Akufo-Addo government, has been focused on. He created a special purpose vehicle that used to be a ministry, which is no more but a secretariat now, under which secretariat there are 3 levels of development. So on Face to Face today, I'm going to sit with one of the persons whose job it is to ensure that the coastal areas of Ghana are developed. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu, and you're welcome to Face to Face. My guest is a lawyer, and he also plays football, except that he breaks his leg anytime he plays. His name is Jerry Ahmed Shaib. He's CEO of the Coastal Development Authority. You're welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you, Sanda.
How are you?
I'm well.
It's true that you are a horrible football player. Anytime you play, you alone, they just do you small thing, then you fall down.
No, entirely. I've played very well with superstars. I've played alongside the likes of Steven Appiah, Copson, and all the big players you can count and think of.
But you don't have form anymore.
No. I mean, I'm quite an old man now. So yes, that's how come I get injuries lately.
And you were playing in the thick of the what you can call slum areas or rural Accra. I don't know if rural Accra is the right word to use, but Choco, what's the right word to use to describe? That's inner city and those places.
You can still to some extent describe it as a slum.
So undeveloped Accra, maybe undeveloped urban centers. Yeah, those are the places you usually would love to. First time I heard about you was when you were running for that seat in 2016. And you had this chololi that you were driving around, and you were just, you came by storm, lawyer, young man, vibrant, you wanted to win that seat at all costs. Let's talk about that type of Accra, the Nima, the Choco, which is in your constituency, Ablekuma South. Even where they do the final rallies, Manchagbona, that's Gamashi, right? All these areas, if you look at Teshin along the coast, it's a slum. Even Tema, if you look at Tema Mahian area, it's a slum. These places, can hope come out of these places really?
There's actually the need for hope to come out from these places. I mean, most of the people who are occupants of these places are very lovely people. They are very hospitable. And they are people with a lot of vision. I think that the problem has largely been either issues of education and then its consequential problems. So maybe most of the people may not have had the kind of education they should have had, and therefore it triggers on to other things that we get to see. So there is high crime, there is high unemployment, and there is a lot of other issues of land litigations are there. There is people involved in drug addictions,
bleaching.
There's teenage pregnancy on the ascendancy. Bleaching is one of them.
And then narcotics.
Yeah, so I talked about that. So this, and I look at it from the angle of education. I mean, I'm fortunate, and there are several other people who are fortunate to have come from these areas, but are doing okay. I was born in Choco, and Alabi, to be precise, is a clinic, and I've grown to realize that I can be one of the people to help solve the problem.
So you're born there, grew up there, schooled there?
Yes. I schooled in Choco.
Okay.
Institute of Divine Education, which is Shalom. I also had the opportunity of going to Matters of Uganda in Mamprobi, and then even Premier International School. So yes,
Is it that there are no education facilities? In fact, we didn't mention sanitation. It's also another big problem.
I was going to get there.
So is it that we don't have a plan for these communities? Is it that the community is created to remain in a mess? Because you go to Nima during the COVID pandemic, when we went to Nima to observe the lockdown, there were like so many people in a very tiny room. And this happens a lot in all these communities. Is it that we have never had focus on them, or is it communal living that is a problem? What's your...
I think if we make reference to planning, I wouldn't think that Choco was wrongly planned. I think that it had one of the best planning structures. You would find drains properly structured out. You would find, same as Dansoma and its environment. So you would see people talk about Buzia and Achampon and their era. These were places that they paid some attention to and focused on. So you would hardly hear Choco flooding or Mampobi flooding when it rains. So I would rather think of it as some sort of communal living. These are people, just because of teenage pregnancy, a girl who is 13, 12 years gives birth, she's still staying with the parent, and you know what it means. Yeah. So they are all squeezed in one particular room. They don't want to leave their families. The son is, or the husband, or the boyfriend, or the guy who impregnated her is also fishing. So he also does not want to leave anywhere away from the ocean. And these are problems that you can say that they are human problems. They are human-related problems or communal problems. So this person who is involved in this teenage pregnancy has not got money to take his son or a daughter to school. What happens? That person lacks education. That person grows up, takes up the same kind of job. So it becomes something which is more like a cycle of poverty. So there are what we call the extreme poverty resides in these areas. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways to clear poverty is education. But if we are also not getting that, because in Choco, there are several schools, but you wouldn't even have people or parents sending their children to school because the child is perhaps helping or assisting the mother or father to do some labor. And
in the house,
beyond the house. And
so it's not necessarily the absence of schools, it's the failure to just go to the school.
So that's how come I agreed with you on your definition, which is communal living. So among the community, it's not just the issue of infrastructure. Infrastructure can actually be a problem, but it is not even a problem where I lived. Because directly opposite my house where I lived for close to 30 years, there are schools. And it's the Mampoli cluster of schools.
And people don't go.
Well, they go.
I mean, but others will not go. Others will choose not to go.
Others may even with free education. Yeah, I mean, they even would not appreciate the levels of free education. You give them the opportunity, they think that, well, I need my mother to do well in her business. She's going to the market. She's going to do for Jalano. I'm going to help.
And yeah, that's important. Yes. Going to the school.
So that I help my mom get some revenue. In some cases, maybe the mother has not even got the money to pay the fees. And there is a broken home. The father is no more there. Or the father is married to several other women. So the issues are there. And these are some of the ways that these issues come up.
Now, let's look at the issue of the governmental intervention. So there's education at the basic level. We have F-Cube. Yes. That is not helping. Yeah. And this thing appears to be happening along the coast. So is it maybe the case of being along the coast? Could that also be an issue?
I would not necessarily say that it's a case along the coast. Because of my position as Chief Executive of Coastal Development Authority, I've traveled near and far across the 6 regions. And when you go to some of the hinterlands, it's about the same thing. And they are not necessarily along the coast. So you may go to, say, Pandai, and the kind of things you see, or you go to maybe Seshia, Kotombra, and the kind of things you see.
Are similar to what are
along the main coast, the ocean. So it's not necessarily, I think it's just, first of all, the upbringing and the communal definition of how we should do things. So somebody thinks that, okay, I don't think education is key. I think that my father is doing very well with his job. I want to take over. He's doing farming. He's got like 5,000 acres of land. There is cocoa. Now, there is also mining. And I think that that's how I can get some quick money.
So I'll go into it.
I join in.
But so what should government do then? So if that has failed, there's a school, but people are not attending. And mind you, F-Cube is compulsory. The C in them is compulsory. Can we use compulsion to get the people into the classroom?
Well, I think that government is doing very well on that note. So the free compulsory universal basic education, they have people who are supposed to be checking that people who are of school-going age
are going to school.
Are in school. And these are supposed to be supported by the metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives. So that's why within every district you have a director of education. You have other directors who are empowered to play such roles. So government, as usual, would do all the things, nice stuff, come up with very solid initiatives. But if the persons or the group of persons or the people or the community are not willing to come on board, That is going to be difficult. And you can imagine government going around to say that I'm going to prosecute people who are not going to, they are the parents of this.
Yeah, who don't go to school.
I mean, we are already overwhelmed with that.
You can't add that one to it. It's sanitation. What seems to be the problem there too? Because you've said that there are drains in Choco.
Yes.
And yet sanitation is a problem there. Is it the waste collection? Is it the processing of the waste? What's your reading of this?
So I've had a bit of engagement with people dealing with sanitation. And in very recent times, I met with the Norwegian ambassador, for instance, and Koda is trying to work on something on sanitation. So we had to have a discussion with her. Umaru, sanitation is a problem because human beings fail to take the necessary steps when it has to do with sanitation. That is number one. You can also talk about structures. I mean, so for instance, if Zoomlion is the major
waste company,
and in my house, it takes them sometimes 10 days or more before they come and lift garbage. And it is because I am this kind of person and I want to ensure that my waste is properly kept. What about those who are sick and tired of keeping the waste over days? And there is so much stench and, so you can think about it. And in my area, where there is an ocean and there are drains and it's raining and people look left and right and then they see that nobody is spying and the stench cannot be kept forever, what they do is to put it out there. So, first of all, it's the human problem. We need a lot of education. We always educate people, and I always say, I've had discussions in my home, and I feel that one of the best forms of education was then the former vice president's
indiscipline
campaign.
Ali Muhammad.
Yes, I was trying to do something to tune it towards that end. I have not been able to come out, but that every little boy or girl who was then alive, when the vice president was alive and had this campaign ongoing, was able to pick something out of it. I mean, I was then special assistant to the former mayor of Accra.
Okay.
He was doing a decongestion exercise. He was doing cleaning of Accra, the 100 days. I was with him.
You're referring to Ajiri Blanc?
Yes. And in the process, I had a toffee. Just someone who had gone on TV sets and radio sets to campaign against the same thing. I was just about dropping it.
The rap?
Yes, the rap. And I just reminded myself, hey, do you want to be captured? This is the person. So there should be some stringent efforts, some very comprehensive way of educating people that whatever you are doing is going to give you more problems. Look, if you go to the beaches, you would cry. We try to put in all mechanism, all structures, but even if you're able to gather, the lifting is also another problem. When you lift, sending to the appropriate
recycling plant
destination
or whatever
is also another problem. Even the place to also dump is another problem.
Then you also have the issue of defecation in the open.
Yes.
On that one is also, but that one is a structure issue. If you don't have a toilet, you go to the beach.
No, it's not a structure issue. If you know very well how some of these things operate, it's not just structure issues. It's still about the human being.
The mentality.
I've seen facilities just by us, and you see people squatting. In the local language, you get quite a bit of your. Meanwhile, there's just a toilet about 5 or 10 meters away from
Maybe there's stench in the toilet. Look, I've visited some of the public toilets.
Before when you meet them, they will give you all manner of excuses. One of them is stench. Another is that, I don't even have money to pay. So what do we do? So we should allow people to go defecating openly because they don't have money to pay or because they are thinking there is stench.
I'll come back because that is your job.
But the Ministry of Local Government and the government of Ghana through the Ministry of Local Government made a lot of toilets facilities available. I think at the rate of even 1,000 cities.
The Gamma project.
Yes, the Gamma project. That's one of them. And several other projects so that you can own a toilet facility by paying 1,000 cedis. And that 1,000 cedis was not taken from you like in a day.
I think it was 650 cedis.
Well, so 1,000 because I'm thinking of the whole structure. I think that was what I had because Koda wanted to do some collaborative work with them. And this was the feedback. So even if it is 600, you can imagine. That's cheaper. So it's still the human being.
I'm sorry I'm engaging on this. You are not the mayor of Accra or anything, but because you are a slum boy, I just thought it should be fair to talk to you about.
I love to be a slum boy. It comes with a lot of good stuff.
The traffic situation, is that a human mentality problem or a government decentralization problem?
Well,
Choked traffic.
I think it first comes down to human. You can go out there and you see proper demarcations, including a bus arena or a bus area where the bus is supposed to ply. Just go. You see an Okada rider parked there. You see a trotro driver parked there. When the police comes in, you normally see altercations. When it starts like that, that is even going to cause more trouble. Traffic lights normally are down. When they are fixed, people, human beings, will drive into those lights and they pull them down. Can you imagine these street lights? People go around trying to pull wires and sometimes stealing street lights
to sell.
I think the classic case is the
Corvettes.
The Corvettes, the metal Corvettes.
Yeah.
People go around to just remove them. They lift them.
Scrap dealers. Put them on a trolley and push it away.
Now we see. And how are you going to engage such a person? So for me, I am not saying that we do not have a problem of congestion. I am also not saying that most cities are properly planned. I am saying that some of these things are there because we as human beings have aggravated the situation.
Our city is planned. Is Accra planned?
Yes, Accra is properly planned. You should get the history of Accra and you would see. Properly planned.
Maybe the plan remains in history, but it's not current.
Well, I do not think that the current purpose, what Accra serves to do, now commiserates whatever it was planned to be. So it is also very prudent on us. It's very imperative for us to now consider what we can do to get Accra in a better shape.
What do you think we can use to deal with the traffic situation, for instance? So we don't have the Chololi anymore. We have the Trotros, the rickety ones. Must we and can we remove them? We have tried with the Ayalolo system. It didn't work. The Metro Mass died first. I'm referring to the urban Metro Mass bus. And now Ayalolo has come, and I rarely see them on the road. Is it that people don't want to leave a Trotro and join a comfortable air-conditioned bus that has a charging port? Or it is because we have not put the structures right? Maybe we've put the cart before the horse.
I think that we are doing all of that. I first of all would want to say that I don't think the Metro Mass is dead. I think it's active.
When I was in school, 2008, 2009, you can get the yellow Metro Mass buses to Nungwa, where I was living. Yeah, no, yes, Kufor bus, yes, but the yellow plastic-looking one, not the big Metro. So the Metro Mass, they had the intercity one, which was a long yellow one. Then they had the one from Accra to Ho or Kumasi.
Yes.
So those ones were picking school children. The one that was picking school children.
Yes.
I don't see those anymore. So that's what I mean by dead.
Well, I think that there's a bit of competition. And normally the Trotro drivers don't allow them to flow the way they are supposed to flow. So they rather want to go outskirts and help. But they are there. And I'm sure if you talk to a Dubai, and he'll give you more feedback on that. But beyond that, your question for me, I think it's all based on still structures and human beings. So for instance, if we are talking about congestion in the cities, what other means can we put in place to now lift this congestion? How can we make buses available, which we are doing? How can we make the roads, that these are roads that we can ply without hassle? How can we also ensure that the regulations or the laws or the rules are well executed?
How can we ensure there's a sky train?
Well, we've had a few proposals from people, even Koda. And we are looking at it critically, and we are hoping.
You actually think that SkyTrain thing will...
Well, do you think there is an impossibility on anything with reference to development?
In Ghana, yes.
No, I don't think so. I think that originally...
We've been following bus rapid transit routes since Okovanda Poy's time. Up to now, nothing has happened.
Well,
So I don't want to believe that there's going to be a SkyTrain. I
but
don't
do
even
you
want
know
to
what
think
happens with some of these things?
What
Citi, for instance, is doing very well. Citi TV, Citi FM. It's not because you are here. You're doing very well with issues of the road traffic offences.
Indiscipline,
right?
yeah.
Indiscipline. So if consistently we are dealing with offenders or suspects and you are not going to go back
and repeat the mistake.
as a journalist or as a radio presenter or whatever, to say that, the president is dealing too much with, the chief executive of AMA is dealing too much. Look, when people are supposed to be removed from a certain place, sometimes, and a classic case when I was with the Honorable Stanley J. Blanksy was when he had to do the decongestion of the, what's it called, Sodom and Gomorrah place. People had to go to court. For me, where I sat, the major problem was the media then.
You're a lawyer. I'm not sure you're against people going to court at the time.
I'm still not
And
against it.
And you're also not against the media giving a voice to the people who have been
1,000,000%
evicted.
I'm not. I am only telling you that in cases that we are supposed to be working together,
We should close our eyes.
not close your eyes. Don't be looking only at the negative part. The narration should be 70% more of the positive part. I'm not saying, why would you say that? I don't expect people who are going to remove people from the roads or the streets or from Sodom and Gomorrah to go and beat them. So obviously that would depart from the main object. But I expect that even assuming there is one case of this nature, my belief or anticipation would be that you will be reporting on the 99% case, which is good, and still capture the 1% case.
Very well.
Instead of the 1% case taking a bigger chunk of your TV time.
Okay.
And really, that all of this affects whatever we do.
This is Face to Face on Citi TV. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest is Jerry Ahmed Shaib. He's CEO of the Coastal Development Authority. I deliberately made him discuss the problems of Accra first. Then when we come back, his job is to fix those problems. And I'll ask him how he has been doing that. Please stay with us. You're welcome back to Face on Citi TV. My guest is Jerry Ahmed Shaib. He's CEO of the Coastal Development Authority. CODA is part of a bigger entity. So we had the Ministry for Special Development Initiatives. After you people failed horribly in the last election, you decided to scrap a lot of ministers. You scrapped that ministry. I don't know why you're looking at me like that.
I'm not excited about your description, but it's okay.
But it's true, you performed horribly in the election. So you decided to cut down a number of ministries. Coastal Development, a Special Development Initiative, one was the one that went. But it has been reduced to a secretariat, just like Zongo and Inner City Development. So walk to us about these three development authorities that you have and what the ideas for the three are, and generally how the secretary is supposed to program the three of you.
You know that keeping quiet on your delivery on S failing means that it's an admission. So let me rebut that.
Okay. But you don't have to rebut.
No. It's not necessary for me to rebut when it is not true. But
it's true. You lost Parliament. You've almost lost Parliament.
Well, that is the essence of politics.
You lost 500,000 votes.
Which is okay.
Yeah, so
But the president did very well than any other president going for a second term.
Yeah, but still.
And we've done very well. As we speak now, we are not in normal times. So, yes, I'll be praising us. But we haven't done badly.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the reasons why people may be judging us from all angles. We are currently dealing with major issues. Okay. Russia-Ukrainian war,
don't mention
COVID.
That. Don't mention that. People are tired of hearing that.
Well, but that's the truth. Unfortunately, that's the truth. I had to deal with a lot of contractors to step aside and hold on because of COVID. So that is the truth. So projects that they were supposed to have finished in 2020
are still there.
They couldn't finish. And we are still working on some of them. Mm-hmm. Prices keep changing and So yes, there are issues. But I do not think we've done badly.
Okay.
Yes, but beyond that, the Coastal Development Authority, as you are well aware, was established in 2018. Through an act of parliament. In fact, the president signed into law the Coastal Development Authority Act 2017, Act 961, on the 2nd of January 2018.
So your act is separate from the Middle Belt?
All of us have different acts because we are functioning differently.
We have different mandates?
Yes.
How are you...
They are very similar.
Okay, but how are you connected to the special developments?
Yeah, so I'm getting there. So I mean, because of the erstwhile MSDI, Ministry of Special Development Initiatives, the President still found it necessary, His Excellency the President still found it necessary to establish a secretariat that would oversee the running of these development authorities. So we have the Special Development Initiative Secretariat that is headed by my boss, Napagatia Sulemana.
So that's for policy. They do policy.
Well, so they are our supervisory secretariat.
Okay.
So whatever we do, we're supposed to report back to them. They are supposed to guide us to ensure that we are on the right track. So we have these three development authorities. We have Coastal Development Authority that was established by Act 961. Then we have the Middle Belt that was established by the Act 962. And then the Northern Development Authority that was established by the Act 963. I mean, these authorities are supposed to have a vehicle, which we have, which is called the IPEP. The IPEP is the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication Program. And this vehicle is the basis for which we are to accelerate social and economic development and also provide some strategic planning and thinking and comprehensive development to the people within our jurisdictions. Okay. So for CODA, we are looking at 6 regions. So we have OT, we have Volta, we have Greater Accra, we have Central, we have Western and Western North. Originally, there were 4 regions, but with the split, the reorganization,
you have 2 new regions.
The regional reorganization. So we had the 2 other regions. So we are dealing with 109 constituencies. So the basis of all of this is under the $1 million per constituency that His Excellency promised the Ghanaian people. What we seek to do, like I indicated, is to serve as a platform for which development can be comprehensively carried out and executed within our jurisdiction, which is the 109 constituency.
So you have 109 million every year since 2018.
That is what it's supposed to be.
So that's 109 million times 4. That's a lot of money. What have you done with it so far?
That is what it's supposed to be, but we have not had.
You haven't got the money?
We haven't had 100. First of all, the monies are not given to us to hold on. It's not like, I'm not sure.
They give it to the constituency, or they give it to you to decide what to do for the constituency?
I'm not sure. Well, so the difference between Coastal and any other institution, or the difference between the development authorities and some other institutions, is that we deal largely with what we call the needs-based assessment. Mm-hmm. So we travel to these respective constituencies, have some stakeholder engagement with them, all opinion leaders, members of parliament, assembly members, all of them, MMDCs, and then community as a whole. They tell us the kind of projects they would love to have in their respective communities or constituencies. And what we do is to go through the process of getting them procured, getting the right contractors with capacity to go ahead and provide these projects in the constituency.
But has the money
We've not had 109 times 4. It's not a statutory fund, so it's not like it's a constant thing that just like the Street Assembly's common fund. It must
come every year.
No, it's not. We already have some shortfall, and the shortfall is based on the fact that we're already dealing with $1 million per constituency that we are getting contractors to ensure that all the projects that were awarded to them are fully executed before we can go to the next tranche.
Is there any constituency that has been given its 1 million, they've put it on a plate with fork and knife for them to use, slice and dice and use it for their constituency the way they want?
Oh, largely. Almost all the constituencies have been given projects worth $1 million per.
So you don't hand the cash to the constituency?
I don't see cash. I've never seen $1 million.
So you allocate a project worth that much?
Yes.
And it is paid from central bank? The central government?
Yes. From the Ministry of Finance through to controller. So when, for instance, you are done executing a project, we have consultants in every region. Mm-hmm. And then we have a monitoring and evaluation unit of the Coastal Development Authority, and we have the Works and Projects and Waste Department. So I, as Chief Executive, have been to almost every project site. The essence is to ensure that they match with whatever request that the communities made.
Okay. Since you're going to all constituencies, which one can you mention and say, okay, you went to, say, Ningo Pram Pram, and this is what they are doing, or you went to Ablekuma South, this is what we sent, this is how much project we sent in monetary terms. Do you have any concerns you can use as a model for us?
Yes. I mean, if you go to Ablekuma Central, is close, so I can remember that. Ablekuma South is also close, I can remember that. I can remember Wejagbawe, I can remember Anyasu Tum. I mean, so these are constituencies that lack some of them lack a lot of drains. We're talking about issues of flooding. And so they came to us and they said, okay, we think that we have issues with reference to flooding. So can you please provide us with some drains and culverts and bridges? And Ablekuma Central is having 2 markets. One is done, which we have not commissioned yet because apparently some people have even moved in to some extent. But most of the drains in Ablekuma Central are done. And that has helped to solve a lot of problems with reference to flooding. If you move beyond in Ablekuma South, we have the AstroTurf, which is currently in operation. People are using it.
But does that cost $1 million? Because I want to know which constituency you've expended $1 million
so
for.
The projects are divided into phases. So I can run through some of the projects we are doing and I can give you some idea of cost. So for instance, we are doing what we call water for all. So we are sinking some boreholes. We are doing what we call sanitation for all. We are constructing some toilet facilities, institutional toilet facilities. We are also doing health for all. So we are providing some CHIPS compound health facilities and some trauma centers. We are also doing sports development. So we are doing some AstroTurfs and its ancillary facilities. We are also doing markets. We are constructing markets to provide economic development in this. So in your area, for instance, when you go to Asuchari and you go to Dodowa itself, we are almost done with some markets we are constructing. When you go to Adan, it's about the same thing.
Why don't you think this 1 million constituency under your IPEP, under the CODA, under the Special Development Initiative is just a superfluous paro institution that has been set up? Because we had a working district assembly system. Why don't you rather pump that money into the assembly and let them go ahead and operationalize whatever you are planning? Because now you have to create a new office, a new officer, a new vehicle, all of that. We are wasting money on something that could have been done.
I wouldn't think that it's superfluous. I think that it's complementary. I think that some of the things we are doing, some of the district assemblies did not used to do them. And we work hand in hand with them. What we are doing actually fast tracks the issues of development. And some districts may not agree, which is okay, because to some extent, some also are not too comfortable. And I agree with them sometimes. But if you look at the aspect of stakeholder engagement that we do as Coastal Development Authority, it brings down proper grassroots development. Like I indicated, I mean, if I'm going to a place like Awin Swaman, I'll do that together with the district chief executive. If he's not available, he perhaps will nominate someone for me to go with. If there is any project he perhaps may have requested for. Don't forget, they're also getting support from the district assembly's common fund. But the president's vision is to ensure that there is massive development at these routes.
But if that's the purpose of the district assembly, why do you have to create a slogan and call it one constituency 1 million when you could have sent that 1 million onto the district? We have a district assembly's common fund, which is most of the times not paid in time. I mean, I know that there's a structure where they have to pay afterwards, but a lot of the district, what they get is really nothing. If you ask some of the district assemblies, they'll tell you that what they get from the DSEF is nothing really to push anything. Why don't you rather pump that money there instead of creating this whole vehicle? And I still insist that it's a parallel vehicle, because if you have to go to Awin, when the DC is there who can already do that, why do you have to go there?
Well, that's how come I said to you we are complementing each other. I think that two is always better than one. So if the district assembly, for instance, had a certain view, and from CODA, we have a different view, and we are able to merge and bring out something which is more solid. I think that's the way to go. Really, I won't sit here and think that the district assemblies are the best or Coastal Development Authority is the best. I think whatever we do, we normally come together, we think that, listen, there is an AstroTurf I need. There are district assemblies that write to us to help them build schools or construct schools. I think that, first of all, they may not have had the funding or they may not have gone beyond private support. Because CODA, for instance, is also going through a lot of private partnership to provide some of this support. So it's not only money is coming from government. So it all boils down to the arrangement. But if we are able to understand ourselves as development partners and to go in with a united front, I'm sure, yes, we will give the people the best of development.
So these 6 regions that you supervise or you superintend over, what are some key projects that have been done solely under the CODA program? Which projects do you think that are timely interventions that if you didn't have a CODA, you may not necessarily have had these?
Okay, so generally, CODA on its own, we've awarded about 712 to 25. I'm not very sure, but I mean, I can check the figures. We have about close to 725 projects awarded.
Okay.
Ministry of Special Development Initiatives 10, about same amount. So we have about 1,471 projects we are dealing with. Now, when you look at this project, so for instance, if you go to Apimenim in the Hunter West district, we are currently dealing with an accident and trauma center. Guess what? That accident and trauma center you can only find in Winneba. But this is a route that a lot of accidents occur on or happen on. So in CODA's thinking, let's try and work on this and make it just a base for which people can be rushed to in case of an emergency or where there is an accident. That project, for instance, would never have come to reality if it was in CODA. Now, the classic case of Salaga Market. I mean, it's an issue I'm not too excited about because we are a bit delayed with fully executing our job there. But Salaga Market in the previous era had a whole unit set out for it. And it was called the Salaga Market Company Limited. It's been standing there or sitting there for whatever period. CODA came in, CODA found the need to go into the Salaga market to now pull most of the structures down and start development. That is working. So for me, and most chips compounds.
So you mentioned Central Region, Greater Accra.
Yes.
You mentioned Volta, Oti Region, Western and Western North. Let me see something. I want to see which area.
So Central Region.
Yeah, you mentioned Central. That's why you said the trauma center.
No, that's in Western Region.
Oh, it's Western. Okay, then give me Central and Western North.
Central Region, CODA started with what we call the artisanal village. Umaru, the artisanal village is supposed to take about 14,000 artisans.
Located where?
In Pasem.
Okay.
In Pasem, that's how they call it. And this place that we are talking about, if by God's grace we are able to finish within the period, that is lifting a lot of people who are currently at Sudu. I think that's the name of the place, by the St. Augustine's College area, in Cape Coast, who are artisans, who are mechanics, who are body works or whatever, straighteners, all of these people. If we are able to move them, do you know what it means? It means that place can even be used for other purposes, which is by the beach or by the river or whatever, the stream. And these are other projects that we are dealing with. Okay. And really, if we move to, we tried with Volta region. The Volta region, our focus was to deal with issues of irrigation. So, but we haven't been very successful. So I wouldn't talk so much about it.
Is it about rice farm irrigation or which irrigation?
Well, we were supposed to do irrigation in 2 places. Okay. One in Dabala and then the other at Dambai.
Okay.
And the essence really, so it's Volta and Oti. So the essence really is to do all of these things so that those who are into serious farming would get access to water.
But that has not succeeded yet, you say?
There are issues of capacity back and forth with contractor. But yes, we are working on it. And the hope is that it will be fully executed before.
Do you have a list of projects that you have initiated, executed, completed so far since you came as an office?
Yes, we do.
Can you give me an estimate if you have the specific that you can share?
I can mention some of them to you. I think I have them, so I can mention. I think I have a report here. So in Greater Accra, we have about 74 completed, 176 projects.
And this is inclusive of all kinds of projects?
Yes,
or
specific. All kinds. And I can give you, like I said, it's so the projects let me just give you an idea. So we have drains, we have culverts, drains to culverts, we have roads, we have bridges, foot bridges.
Okay. You do foot bridges?
Yes. We also have schools.
You're taking over the job of Ghana Highway Authority.
No, we did this together with Ghana
Highway Authority.
Yes, and you see some of the places are so much of hinterlands that focus they never had focus.
So you would say that, okay, we have 1 million for you, constituency, what do you need? Then they will say they need a footbridge. Urban Road has been struggling to do it. Then you bring your money with expertise from Urban Road and you construct that bridge.
We don't carry the money.
That's what I'm saying, that you would be the ones who will be signing that the money should be...
process of procurement and give it to the right person, and then the person executes, and then the person is paid by...
So share with the project with me.
So we also have dormitories, school dormitories, we have school buildings and blocks, we have libraries,
You have dormitories and yet we are having a track system in our schools?
Well, but we do not have all the money to build all the dormitories in a day. So there are processes. So we started with some, and our position is that 1 day at a time.
So the figures you're giving, Greater Accra is 74?
Yes, 74
projects.
Yes, out of about 176 completed.
Okay.
Yes, and then Central, you have about 31 out of about 174. Then Volta is not very encouraging. You have about close to only 10. Out of about 127, you have Western 118 projects. You have Western North 71. You have OT out of 59, only 10. So yes, and then you're also talking about health facilities, like I mentioned, toilet facilities. You're talking about astroturfs, you're talking about boreholes, you're talking about community centers, you're talking about lorry parks and markets.
I'll let us talk about the coast generally, but I'm interested in what they call landing beaches and our fisher folk.
Yes.
What projects do you have for fishermen?
So landing beaches are fully taken care of by the Ministry of Fisheries.
Okay.
And then Ministry of Transport. Okay. So most of the landing beaches, there is a collaboration between Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ministry of Transport, and then Ministry of Fisheries.
So you don't have any project with fishermen?
We are not dealing with.
Okay.
The only project we have dealt with in reference to fishermen is to provide them with outboard motors.
Okay.
The president.
You do that one too?
Yes, the president personally directed that we should go do a stakeholder engagement. We went from, we went to, what's the name called? Azim. Okay. From Azim to Denu. And
Denu.
Don't worry, I'm a Kita schoolboy, so I should pronounce it properly.
Yeah.
So from Azim to Denu, and then we had engagements with the fishers, the landing beach committees, and all of that, and they told us their request. So we secured about 3,500 outboard motors. An outboard motor that sells around 25,000 cedis. We had directions that, look, they need support, so we had to give it to them at 10,000 cedis. Outboard motor that sells at 14,500 was given to the fishermen at 5,000 cedis.
They are going to use it for private business. Why do we have to pump our money given to someone to go and catch fish and sell for himself?
Well, but there is a stream poverty. You want to support people. Just like the quota.
So you're trying to improve the person's life? So that's like LEAP?
It's an aggregate.
Okay.
The more lives you improve, the better it's for the nation.
This is face to face. I went to Durban in South Africa. The coastline was beautiful. I was in Mombasa in Kenya. The high-rise buildings they have on their beach, excitingly sweet. Then I came to La, and I went to our beach, and I saw parcels of feces that had been left behind. When we come back, the Skoda boss would answer questions on what they are doing with beautifying our beachfront. Please stay. You're welcome back to Face to Face. My guest is the CEO of the Coastal Development Authority, which means he focuses on our coast, except that he goes all the way to Dambai and Sefri also, that's the name of the region, the capital of Western North. Yeah. What is the problem with our coast? I mean, when I see our coast, I want to see a water taxi that moves from Winneba to Accra, from Pram Pram to Accra, so that there will be no traffic situation. I want to go and sit by the beach and just meditate, which is what I like to do. But you can also be meditating while inhaling all of that. As a man whose job it is, we have the Marine Drive. I had so much dream in my head about Marine Drive. No happy for that. What is the issue with our coast, and what are you doing to fix it?
I think that sanitation is a problem along the coast. I think that, like we started, if you want to look at what's happening in most of the coastal, the ocean areas, you would realize that there's a lot of plastic, there's a lot of garbage, and there's a lot of open defecation. So sanitation, I would say, is the problem. Fortunately, Coastal Development Authority can boast of, we just perhaps are praying to God that it goes well within the shortest possible time. So we are currently working on what we call the Coda Sea Bus. So the sea bus is supposed to run from Axim to, once again, Deno. Fortunately, His Excellency the President got us to be working on, not coastal development, but Ministry of Transport and GAPOA, to be working on the landing beaches. The plan and the structure is that the ferry would be stopping
at the landing beaches.
At the respective landing beaches.
So it will move from Axim to Denu and back.
And back. And
so sea transport.
Yes. So it's Coda Sea Bus. That's what we've named it. I mean, so we are in serious talks with a private person, a private institution, and then we are far advanced. We've gone back to Attorney General back and forth, just trying to streamline matters.
But the vehicle has not come yet.
Well, if nobody brings a vehicle when the person is not even sure of what...
So you are now still doing the... But have you checked where it has worked? I mean, in Abidjan, they have water in the capital. It's not the seas. I think it's the river body.
Yes,
they have taxis on it.
Yes.
Where did you learn this model from? And who tells you that it works?
They've operated in several countries. Their major area is in Indonesia, and that is what we have seen. We've got people to go to Indonesia to go and look at how it operates, and I can assure you that...
It will not be like the SkyTrain.
Well, I do not know what is with the SkyTrain.
Oh, the SkyTrain is only in the daily graphic.
But I've even told you that even Coda is also considering the SkyTrain.
Please don't.
I've just told you that my aspect of life, there is nothing like an impossibility. People die and wake up. Yes.
No, they haven't died well.
Yes. So it means... So maybe we should try with you. Let's see if you die and wake up.
No, I'm not going to do it. But my worry is that, you see, when you say it sounds beautiful, that we're going to have a water bus or sea bus, as you call it, Coda Sea Bus. I would love to see that, where people would move. And I was discussing even before we came on air with you about the train system and how we cannot get people moving around.
Yeah.
But the difficulty is that these lofty ideas, and I'm not using lofty in a negative sense, often never materialize. So I don't even want to have the fantasy.
If I want to think like you, which to some extent you can be right, then there won't even be the need to engage anybody. Because first of all, you don't even think that this is possible.
I agree it's possible, but it won't happen.
Well, so if it is possible, you take steps. I may not be Chief Executive of Coastal Development Authority forever, but I may have started it. I give you an example of this building. People thought that it wasn't possible. It started under Honorable Stanley Ajiyu Blanson. You had all manner of people here. And people thought that, first of all, you wouldn't be in a position to remove them. We got them removed. Now you have this building, you have Octagon. So my belief is that we should start. We've started. We've engaged people. They've told us, shown us ferries. People have traveled to go and see how they apply their trade, how it's operating. We've seen agreements. Now, the next step would be how to bring it in and how to operate.
If you fly out of the Kotoka International Airport and you look down, the water in our sea, just on the beach, it looks like milk, or if you like chocolate drink or whatever you call it. So that's defecation, filth, plastic waste and all of that. What are you doing about that to change it so that when I fly, I see blue sea and not brown sea?
You should check with Coda. We've done a lot with cleaning the beach. We actually have the Coda Clean Beach campaign. We started this with the Coastal Management Center. I think it's in the... then there is an NGO we also collaborated with. The Coastal Management Center is a department in the University of Cape Coast. Okay. We've had some few things to talk about. We've gone to the site. We also started with what we call the litter trapping. So that was where to do the feasibility studies, and I can show you pictures, horrible, terrible pictures. So we did the first litter trapping setting at the Kole Lagoon. And Sanda, I can tell you that the kind of garbage we collected in the day.
So you prevent it from entering the sea?
So that was our style. But we didn't think that should be the only style. Because like I also indicated, our major problem has been education.
So it should not even be dropped in the drain in the first place?
So if we are able to pursue solid education on littering and indiscriminate littering, then we can start with the solution.
When can I go to the Kole Beach or the Labadi Beach or the Nwa Beach and enjoy the view? When can I go to Odo and just sit on the bank of the Odo and watch golden fish in the water?
Well, I think that when you and myself can provide platforms for people to be educated, for people to know that whatever we have, we are all owners of it.
Why don't we use force?
Well, brute force has not helped. I mean, you've mentioned someone taking a video of somebody beating someone. I mean, and you know what I'm talking about. And I do not think that you approve of that beating. So if we use force, if I go to, I mean, for us, we thought that the best way to deal with this is to bring in social activities and infrastructure. That will stop the problem, apart from education. So Koda is also considering constructing what we call beach stadia. If we are able to do, the last month or two, we went to Laboma, and we had this engagement with a private person. We have it structured, and I can show you pictures of all of that, but you say it's lofty. But my belief is that if you don't even start, you won't be able to do, if people are playing soccer along the beach or playing volleyball along the beach, they see the beach as their property.
You won't come and squat there.
You won't dare. I mean, you won't not dare. And these are the places that if we are gradually able to develop in this manner, we can go about saying that, yes, we are bringing cleanliness to the beaches. Same way, we're also thinking that the plastic should be converted into something that will give us, you know, plastics can be converted into bitumen.
Several things. Or we don't even bring plastic at all. How about that?
So
but your government has not been able to be firm on the
importation. Our government?
Your NPP government, that's
Perfect.
What I mean.
Perfect. Yes, my government hasn't done what?
You have not been firm in saying that let's ban plastic.
I think that it's a very dicey situation if you ask me. I mean, it depends on who is watching and sitting where. The number of people involved in this kind of business, and we as Ghanaians, how we already are dealing with plastics, should be the first thing for us to consider.
But we said we'll stop galamsey, which is even bigger, so we should be able to stop this one.
Well, but I think that it starts with certain things. You can stop plastics and people will still have plastics and use it in a certain way. If people understand that so if taxes are imposed on the use of plastics, when I give you a plastic bottle of water, you'll be the same person to come and complain that the bottle of water is too expensive.
So it has to be a structure, you think. So we need to go now, but as CEO of Kodak, by the time you say, okay, I'm done with this job, I'm leaving, what key thing would you want us to remember you?
Well, we are currently doing a few things which I think are social interventions, which I believe are mitigating a lot of issues with especially extreme poverty. So I want to be remembered as the guy who got in and thought about people who were really suffering from abject poverty and gave a helping hand for their lives to change. So the reason why we brought in the Koda Drive, the reason why we brought in the Koda Credit Union, the reason why we are dealing with the Koda Health Train. The Koda Health Train is just a platform where we go to every constituency in collaboration with the National Health Insurance Authority and Ministry of Gender to register people on the National Health Insurance and also to provide them with free medical care. So, and Umaru, sometimes you'll be surprised that people are there and they are suffering from all kinds of ailments, but just the move to even have that kind of care is not available. So I want to be seen as that. I am praying, because this one is actually a request in my home, that I'll step out as Koda Chief Executive and you will be one of the people sitting on the Koda Sea bus.
I'll be happy to do that.
Yes, that is one of the things. That I also step out to say that, okay, I provided a lot of social amenities and infrastructure that the people really needed. We are currently doing something of that nature with a private partner that they are going to do some astroturfs with some ancillary facilities. So it's not just the astroturf, but children's playing ground, a gym. I want to be saying that I did not feel His Excellency the President. That he had a lot of reason to believe that this guy was okay to be here, and he really has delivered.
I also want a recreational park in Accra. That's what I wanted to leave when you are leaving behind. But I was going to ask you about Ablekuma South, whether you contest or not. I will not ask you. I don't have lorry
for Ablekuma.
No, I will not ask you.
You have asked. So.
I have not asked you. I have not asked you. So I'll leave it.
I don't have lorry for
I'll ask you next time whether you contest for Ablekuma South again. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Jerry Ahmed Shaib is CEO of the Coastal Development Authority. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. Thank you for being with us.